Just taking a moment to notice how you feel on your mat today, how your body feels, maybe any points of tension or stress. How your head feels pressed against your mat and your hips meeting the backs of your feet. And then just gently noticing your breath, not trying to control it, but just noticing the way it feels as you inhale, filling your belly and filling your lungs. And as you exhale, letting that go. And then finally seeing where you're at mentally today, emotionally. How is your mind feeling? Is it easy for you to be here? Was it easy to show up? Do you have a lot of thoughts or emotions from the day kind of arising in your brain as you're finally taking a moment to pause? And just taking a moment to remind yourself that you have the next hour to be here, present in this virtual community on your mat. And you'll meet all of those thoughts when you get back. So with your arms extended out in front of you, I just want you to lift the pads of your hands off the mat, but keeping your fingertips pressing into the mat. So you're making like a tent formation. So your elbows are lifted up off the mat. You're stretching your arms nice and long, and you're in this kind of tent motion with your fingers. So yeah, lifting your wrists up off the mat, elbows are up. And then pressing the palms of your hand back down into the mat and pressing your wrist creases especially into the mat, and then flexing your fingertips back towards your forehead. So your wrist points are on the mat, your fingers are lifted, stretching nice and long. One more time going through both of those. So pressing your fingertips into the mat, the pads of your hands lift, your elbows are lifted. Again, making these little tents with your hands, just warming up our wrists a little. And on your next exhale, pressing the palms of your hand into the mat, and then lifting the front portion of your hand, pressing the wrist creases down into the mat, fingertips stretched back towards your face. All right, releasing your hands, taking one full inhale in, nice and slow. On your exhale, pressing the air out your mouth. And then on your next inhale, you're just gonna slowly walk yourself up to a seat. So lifting your head, your shoulders up. If it's comfortable to sit on your knees, you can stay like this, or swing your feet out in front of you, come to a cross-legged position. I'm gonna scoot back so you can see me a little, and then we'll just begin by rolling our neck towards the left side. Nice and slow. Pausing anywhere that feels tight. Really gently. And then moving the other way. Again, going as slow as you need to, pausing wherever may need a little extra time. And then when you get back to center, just beginning to roll your shoulders up and back. Maybe pressing the palms of your hand into your knees. Lifting your shoulders up towards your ears. Bringing your shoulder blades together in the back, nice and slow. And then bringing your palms of your hand to your shoulders. We're just gonna bring our elbows as close as you can together up here in the front. Nice and slow, then lifting them above our shoulders. And then as you move back, aiming to bring your wrist creases together behind you, squeezing your shoulder blades. Nice and slow as we roll them all the way around. This feels so good after a long day sitting. One more time. As you come forward, really cat arching that back forward, elbows come to touch, maybe. And then lifting them up and back. Maybe you're bringing your wrists close together as you circle your shoulders down and back. All right, releasing those. Inhale, stretching that left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, gently stretching over the right side. You can keep that palm on the ground, maybe come down to your elbow if that's comfortable. Keeping that left hip really grounded. Nice long line all the way from your hip through your fingertips. On an inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, right arm lifts and stretches over that left side. Again, you can use that left hand as a steady base or maybe come down to the elbow. Again, right hip is actively pulling down into the ground as your right fingertips stretch. Nice neutral neck. On your inhale, coming back up to center. And on your next exhale, you're just gonna bring that left hand gently outside the right knee, bring the right hand behind you, and we're just gonna take a really gentle twist to start. So on your inhale, lifting up out of your sit bones nice and tall, and on your exhale, maybe pressing into that left wrist, twisting slightly to the right, leaving your neck wherever is comfortable. You don't need to look all the way behind you. Really focusing on twisting through your abdomen. On an inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, swinging that right arm outside the left leg. Left hand comes behind you to hold you up nice and tall. On your next inhale, stretching nice and long. Exhale, maybe twisting a little deeper. Your next inhale, coming back to center. And from here, we're gonna reach our arms up towards the sky, bring our palms to touch. Exhale, bring our hands down through heart center. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable, or just finding a soft gaze out in front of you. And then you can either keep your hands here in prayer, maybe bring one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly, or if it's comfortable, bringing your palms down to the tops of your knees, either direction. But closing your eyes and just noticing your breath. Finding your home here within yourself. And we'll just begin to move through a gentle breathing exercise together. So just on your next inhale, notice that you're breathing in. On your exhale, noticing you are breathing out. Inhale, maybe your breath grows a little deeper. Exhale, maybe it grows a little slower. On your next inhale, just bring in awareness to your body here on your mat today. Exhale, using your exhale to calm your body. On your next inhale, maybe bringing a gentle smile to your face. Exhale, releasing. One more deep breath in, dwelling in the present moment. On your exhale, enjoying the present moment. Now, if you'd like, I invite you to set an intention for today's practice. It's totally optional. Maybe something you'd like to work on, something that you're grateful for, something that's brought you joy this week. And on your next inhale, filling your belly, and then filling your lungs, feeling it all rise. Exhale, opening your mouth, pressing the air, out your lungs, out your belly, pulling back to your spine, letting it all go. Inhale, reaching your arms up towards the sky. Exhale, palms come to touch, and then bring the palms to your eyelids, just resting them comfortably, and you can kind of just begin to massage your eyelids with your palms. Inhale here, and on your exhale, just slowly maybe fluttering your eyes open as you pull your palms nice and slow away from your face, adjusting to the light in your room, and then pulling your hands down to heart center. We're going to begin to warm up a little bit together. So from here, if you're in a seated position, we're going to move to a tabletop. So if it's comfortable for you, you can just shift up and over your knees. And then you're here with a nice firm base, so your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips, and then spread your fingers nice and wide so you have a really firm foundation. And then pressing into your fingertips as well as into the back of your wrist. So you're not dumping all your weight into your wrist, but really actively pressing through your fingertips as well. From here, we're going to move through cat-cow. So on your inhale, stretching your chest down towards the mat, gaze is lifted, pelvis tilts towards the sky. On your exhale, tucking your pelvis, engaging through that lower abdomen, arching your back up, your neck releases. Again, inhale, moving to cow posture. Pelvis tilts, chest is nice and broad, gaze lifts. Exhale, coming to cat posture, arching your back, pelvis tilts. Moving through a few more of these at your own pace with your own breath. And knowing that everything that we do today as we move through is totally optional. So if it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't feel good in your body, you can always come back to tabletop, to child's pose. You can lay in Shavasana for the rest of class, whatever feels good, whatever you need today. Listening to your own body and your own breath as your guide for the next hour or so, 45 minutes. After your next cycle of cat-cow, just finding a neutral spine here. And again, just taking a moment to make sure your knees are underneath your hips. We're going to move into puppy pose. So if you're familiar with that, you can just go ahead and walk your hands out forward. If you have any issues with your lower back or with your shoulders and you have a block or a pillow, there's two modifications you can take. One is to put the block in between your thighs, and that'll help protect your lower back. So if you know you have lower back issues or lower back pain, you can put the block in here and slowly walk your hands forward, keeping your hips directly above your knees until your forehead meets the mat. Alternatively, if you have any neck pain, you can place the block down in front of you and bring your forehead to the block or pillow. We're going to hold here for a few breaths, trying to find a sense of comfort, a sense of ease in this posture as we really open those shoulders up. All right, one more full breath in here. Exhale fully. And on your next inhale, slowly walking your hands back up to tabletop position. Again, spreading your fingers nice and wide, finding that firm foundation, pressing into your fingertips. Tuck your back toes if they're not already. And on your next inhale, you're just gonna lift your knees to hover off the mat. So nice neutral spine. Gaze is maybe, I don't know, an inch or two off your mat or directly below you. Holding here, inhale. And on your exhale, keeping your knees bent, lead from your hips up and back to downward dog. You can keep your knees nice and bent here in your first downward dog of the day. Or if it feels good to maybe alternate straightening one or straightening the other. Relaxing your neck over, maybe gazing towards your navel or in between your legs. First downward dog of the day. On your next inhale, breathing in through your nose. Exhale, keeping your mouth closed, breathe out, back out your nose, maybe constricting the back of your throat a little bit. That's your Ujjayi breath. So when you get disconnected with the posture, disconnected with your breath, always come back to that. Inhale through your nose, exhaling out your nose. All right, on your next inhale, stretch that right leg up towards the sky. Exhale, pull that knee in towards your belly, towards your nose, and then step that right foot in between those front two hands. Drop the back knee. On your inhale, reaching up towards the sky, you're here in a low lunge. If it's comfortable, you can keep your arms extended, or maybe interlock your fingertips and place them on your front thigh. Just getting the lower half of our body warmed up, really pressing through that front hip. All right, if your arms are lifted, bringing them back down towards the mat, lifting up into those back toes. And then you're gonna step that right foot back to high plank. So from here, you have the option to lower halfway into chaturanga or to drop your knees. And on your next exhale, bringing your chest and chin down to the mat. On your inhale, tucking that pelvis, lifting up into cobra or upward facing dog. And on your exhale, tucking the toes, either moving through tabletop and then lifting your hips up to downward dog. So this is your flow sequence. Anytime that I say meet in downward dog, or you have the option to flow through, that's what that is. So you can always drop to your knees and then go through cobra up to downward dog, or lower halfway into chaturanga, upward facing dog, downward dog, or you can just go straight to downward dog, whatever you need in that moment. All right, doing that on the other side. Inhale, stretching that left leg up towards the sky. Exhale, pulling that knee into the chest, stepping up in between those hands, dropping the back right knee, releasing the toes. Inhale, stretching your arms up towards the sky. You can either keep your hands up there or interlace them and place them on the front thigh. Really pressing up into that front of that right hip. Nice, tall, open chest. All right, if your hands are lifted, bringing them back down towards the mat, lifting into those back toes, stepping the left foot back. And again, you have the option to flow through. So this time we'll do the other modification. So shifting forward, on your exhale, lowering halfway to chaturanga. Inhale, releasing the toes to upward facing dog. Exhale, hips lift up and back to downward dog. All right, from here, we're gonna have two flow sequences. And so we're gonna kind of go 1, 2, 1, 2. So we'll do both of them on the right and then the left. Well, the first one is just 1 and then we'll do right, left. Anyway, you get the point. We'll do both of these flows twice through. So know that you'll be able to approach this flow a second time and take any modifications. I'll also offer things like binds and maybe opportunities to go a little bit deeper the second time through, so you don't have to maximize the posture the first time around. All right, so from here on your next inhale, lifting your heels up off the mat, so your toes are pressing in, you're on your tiptoes. On your exhale, you're just gonna cat arch your back forward to a high plank, so you're kind of doing this wave motion. On your inhale, putting a bend into your knees, hips press back, lift up to downward dog. We're gonna do this a few more times. Inhale, heels lift, cat arching our back forward to plank. Exhale, putting a bend in your knees, hips guide you all the way up to downward dog. Doing a few more of this like wave motion with your own breath. Really allowing your breath to be the guide. You can take it nice and slow and kind of feeling that wave motion through your spine and also through your nostrils. All right, the next time you're in plank, we'll pause there. So if you're here in plank, you can either lower all the way down to your belly as is, or to drop your knees. On your next exhale, we're gonna lower all the way down to your belly. Keeping your neck nice and neutral, you're gonna shift your palms forward, slide them across the ground so that your elbows are underneath your shoulders and you're here in Sphinx posture. So your toes, the tops of your feet are actively pressing into the mat. Chest is nice and broad. All right, and from here, we're gonna be moving into dolphin pose eventually, so if that's a pose you're comfortable with, keep your hands as is. If this is new for you, you can interlock your fingers and then place them directly in front of you, but make sure that your elbows are still underneath your shoulders. So you're gonna tuck into those back toes, and on your inhale, lift your hips up so that you're in a forearm plank. Inhale here, and on your exhale, you're gonna slowly walk your feet as you lift your hips up so you're almost in a downward dog position. If you've got really tight hamstrings, you can keep a bend in your knees. It's not so much about the hamstring stretch as it is about building strength and also opening in those shoulders. So if you need to keep your knees bent, keep your knees bent. Again, hips are lifted tall, neck is relaxed. We're gonna hold here for 2 more breaths. Really allow our upper body to warm up. One more full breath in. And on your exhale, putting a bend into your knees and bringing them to the width of the mat. And then as your hips shift back, come into a child's pose. So stretching your arms forward, if that's comfortable, or you can bring your arms back if they need more of a break. So yeah, you're in a child's pose, not a puppy. So your hips are all the way back on your heels. Good. All right, so that's our first flow, and then the second flow we'll do on the right and the left, and then we'll go through that whole sequence one more time together. So when you're ready, we'll meet in downward dog. So tucking into those back toes, walking your hands back, you're gonna lift your hips up and back to downward dog. On your next inhale, lifting that right leg up, toes point down towards the mat, heel stretching directly out from that hip, really flexing that foot. On your exhale, pulling that knee towards your nose and then stepping that right foot up between your hands. On your inhale, reaching up towards the sky, so you're here in a high lunge, that back heel's still lifted. And then make sure that front knee is tracking directly over that front heel and that you're not shifting too far forward, not too far of a broad chest. Shoulders directly over your hips, gaze lifted. Inhale here. On your exhale, we're gonna open to warrior 2. So cycling that back foot down, it can come to a 90-degree angle of the front foot. And then checking to make sure that front instep is in line with the front heel is in line with the instep of that back foot. You're here in warrior 2, arms extended. On your next inhale, straightening to that front leg. If you need to step the back foot in slightly, you can. And then inhale, stretching forward. Exhale, rotate that right arm towards the right thigh, calf, or ankle, stretching that left arm up towards the sky here in triangle pose. Again, thinking if you were against the wall, that both your hip points and both the backs of your shoulders could touch the wall behind you. So really not wanting to collapse that left shoulder forward, rolling it up and back. On an inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, putting a bend into that front knee. If you need to scoot the back foot back out, you can. Warrior 2. And this time on your inhale, lift those shoulders up towards your ears. On your exhale, roll them down and back. Energy going equal parts out of all 10 fingers. And making sure those shoulders are stacked directly above those hips. You don't want to be leaning too far forward, too far back. That feels really weird. Nice and grounded, nice and centered. All right, one more inhale here. On your exhale, cycling those hands down, lifting through that back heel. And then stretching that right arm open towards the right side. So you're in a twist here. Left arm's down on the mat, right arm lifted. Inhale here. On your exhale, bringing that right arm back down to the mat, and you're gonna step that right foot back to meet the left, so you're here in high plank, and then you have the option to either meet in downward dog or to flow through. As you know, yoga is all about balance, so what we do on the right, we do on the left. So on your next inhale, stretching that left leg up towards the sky. Exhale, pulling that knee towards the belly, towards your nose, and then stepping it in between those front hands. On your inhale, coming up into that high lunge, stretching your arms up towards the sky, back heel is lifted. On your inhale, it's growing nice and long. On your exhale, you're going to open into that warrior two. I'm going to switch around so you all can see. Again, as we approach our warrior two, making sure we have a nice centered alignment to the front heel in line with that back instep of the foot, and then energy shooting out that back leg. So really pressing through the knife side edge of that back foot. And then as for the front knee, again, it's directly over that front heel. And then your knees almost pressing out towards the pinky toes, the left pinky toes. So you wanna make sure that knee's not collapsing in, but rolling out nice and open as you pull those muscles around and back. On your next inhale, straightening into that front leg. Again, you can step that back foot in slightly if you need. And then reaching forward. Exhale, rotating that left hand down towards the thigh, the calf, or the foot. Stretching the right arm up towards the sky. Again, knowing it's better to be lifted up nice and tall with your shoulders stacked on top of each other than to be grasping your toes but collapsing your chest forward. Your gaze can be lifted directly in front of you or down to the ground for balance. All right, on your next inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, putting a bend into that front knee. Warrior two. Inhale, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, rolling them down and back. Nice broad chest. Warrior two is surprisingly heat building in our shoulders and our arms. All right, inhale here. On your next inhale, cycle those arms down. And we're here, exhale on your high lunge. And then on your next inhale, stretching that left arm up towards the sky. So you're in a twist. Bringing those shoulders to stack if possible. And your next exhale, bringing that left hand down towards the mat, stepping that left foot back to high plank, and you can flow through. All right, from here, putting a bend into your knees at the width of your mat, coming to child's pose. You can either keep your arms stretched forward, bring them back by our hips. We're just gonna take a moment to reset before we do that whole sequence one more time through. Knowing that you have another gift, another opportunity to approach the same postures. Maybe go a little bit deeper, maybe skip them all together. Letting go whatever happened in the first sequence and being open to the possibility of what can happen this time. All right, when you're ready, if your hands are back by your hips, stretching them forward, coming to a tabletop position, and then lifting your hips up and back to downward dog. Maybe pedal out your feet a little here. Do anything that feels good as we begin this new flow together. On your next inhale, lifting your heels up towards the sky and nice and slow, rolling cat tilt your back forward to that high plank. From here, if you'd like to challenge yourself, keeping your knees lifted or maybe lowering your knees down towards the mat, you're gonna exhale, lower all the way down to your belly. Elbows pulled in tight. All right, from here on your inhale, you're gonna shift those hands, slide those hands forward so that you're in Sphinx pose. Your elbows are directly below your shoulders here. And then if you Found it challenging keeping your hands together, come back to that position, or if that was comfortable for you, keep your palms placed into the ground. Tuck into those back toes, and on your inhale, we're gonna come up into forearm plank. We're gonna hold here for a moment, and I want you to notice your shoulders. So that you're actively pressing through your forearms into the mat, and that your shoulders aren't dipping in, and your head's not dipping forward, but that you're actively pressing through those shoulders, lifting the shoulders away from the forearms. It's just like if you were to bounce a tennis ball on the ground, the harder you push it into the ground, the higher it's gonna bounce, right? It's the same here. Equal parts energy pushing through your forearms, palms, elbows, and that will allow you to lift through your shoulders and come into this pose. So on your next inhale, breathing in nice and full. On your exhale, walking those toes forward to dolphin pose. Again, hips lift here, pressing your palms, again, elbows nice and sturdy base into the mat. If it's too much for you, know you can always come to a child's pose. I know you're probably burning a little bit right now. Finding your breath. Gaze back between your legs. All right, one more full breath in here. If you'd like to take any inversions, if a forearm stand or anything is in your practice, go for it. If not, you can exhale, drop your knees down to child's pose. So width of your mat, toes come together. And then this time bring your arms back by your hips. So your palms flip so that they're up towards the sky. Your wrist creases are on the mat behind you. And allow your shoulders to roll forward gently. Just as important as it is to build heat and to build strength, so much, it's honestly even more important to allow yourself to release, to let it go. All right, in your own time, when you're ready, walking those hands forward, coming to a tabletop, tucking your back toes, lifting up and back to downward dog as we move through our warrior sequence. On your next inhale, stretching that right leg back, toes are pointed down towards the ground. It's hip height and they're flexed back towards your face. So energy moving out of that heel. Inhale here. On your exhale, pulling that knee to nose as you come forward, stepping that right foot in between the hands. Again, your back heel is lifted. On your inhale, stretching up towards the sky in high crescent lunge. Inhale, grow a little bit taller, pulling those shoulders down just as your fingers are pulling up. Exhale, opening to warrior two. Again, taking a moment just to notice your alignment. On your inhale, straightening into that front leg, maybe step the back foot in slightly. Exhale, reaching forward, and then rotating that right arm down towards the right calf, left arm lifts towards the sky. This time, if you'd like, maybe rotating that left arm back behind your lower back, bringing the back of your left palm to meet your lower back. If the bind is in your practice, you can reach through those legs, interlocking your fingers, and then rolling that left shoulder open. If you took the bind, releasing it, lifting that left arm up towards the sky. And on your inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, putting a bend into that front knee, warrior two. On your inhale, lifting your shoulders up towards your ears. And if you like, on your exhale, interlocking your fingers behind your back and stretching them down. So making sure that the palms of your hands are pressed nice and tight together. So you don't want them coming apart, but the whole of your hand is pressing equally against each other, pulling those shoulders down and back. If it's comfortable, gaze is still forward over that front right knee. All right, on an inhale, releasing your hands. Exhale, cycling them down to the mat, lifting that back heel, stepping that right foot back. And we're here in high plank. So if you'd like to flow, I'll flow together with you this time. So on your inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, pulling those elbows back, lowering halfway to chaturanga. Inhale, pressing the hips forward in between your wrists, chest lifts, gaze lifts. Exhale, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back to downward dog. Taking a moment here to pedal your feet. Maybe lift your heels up and down, whatever feels good. One more time on the left side, and then we'll begin to cool down. On your inhale, lifting your left leg up towards the sky. Toes are flexed and you're halfway, so hip height. Exhale, pulling the knee towards the chest, towards the nose, stepping forward into that high lunge. On your inhale, lifting the knee, high crescent lunge. On your exhale, opening to warrior two. Inhale, maybe grow a little taller. Exhale, maybe bend a little deeper. On your inhale, straightening that front leg. Exhale, reaching forward, rotating that left hand down, right arm lifts towards the sky. Triangle pose. That right shoulder again, nice and open, not collapsing forward. And if you like, rotating that hand 180 degrees and putting a bend into it, bringing the back of that right hand to your lower back. And if the bind's part of your practice, reaching through, maybe grasping those legs. Again, that right shoulder rolls up and back to open. If you took the bind, releasing it, lifting that right arm up towards the sky. On your inhale, lifting up to center. Exhale, putting a bend into that knee, warrior two. Inhale, lifting those shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, if you like, interlocking your fingertips behind your back, stretching your arms nice and long. Again, trying not to press your chest out too much forward, keeping that core engaged, shoulders directly above the hips, but just using your arms to gently pull your shoulders down and back. On your inhale, releasing your arms back up. Exhale, cycle those hands back down. And then from here, you'll step that left foot back to high plank. Again, if you'd like to take the flow, you're welcome to, or we'll meet in downward facing dog. So inhale, shifting forward. Exhale, lower halfway. Inhale, lift it, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up and back to downward dog. All right, from here, inhale, lift your heels up towards the sky, and then slowly, like we've been doing, cat arch that back forward to high plank. And then on your exhale, lowering all the way to your belly. So either dropping your knees or lowering through chaturanga all the way to your belly. When you get there, bring your hands back by your wrist. So yeah, extend your arms back behind you, tops of your hands are on the mat, and then just place your left ear on the mat. So your head is gazed to the right. Let your shoulders roll forward. Now that we're nice and warmed up, we're gonna move through a small spine strengthening series together here on your mat. So they'll be kind of building into a few different postures. So if you get to a certain one that's like, that's all I got, just keep doing that same one. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, I'll offer an option to go deeper. So it's totally up to you. When you're ready, bringing your palms back underneath your shoulders and your gaze back to center. Your toes should be released so that the tops of your feet are pressing into the mat. And then from here, you're gonna press into the tops of the feet, engage your glutes, and maybe your knees lift off the mat. And on your inhale, gently pressing into those fingertips, coming into a cobra. Again, just your chest lifts, not your hips. On your exhale, you're gonna release. A few more times just like that. Inhale, lifting into cobra. Elbows are pulling straight back, so not coming out. Nice and straight back. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, lifting to cobra. This time we'll pause. And if you'd like, maybe lift your fingertips up off the mat without stressing too much in that lower back. Exhale, this time release your right ear down towards the mat. Relax your glutes. Bring those arms back to your hips. And allow your heels to roll out. So relax your feet, relax your glutes, all of it. All right, when we come back to center, you have the option to move through Cobra again, or maybe experiment with lifting your fingertips up off the ground. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper, come back to center. So your forehead is neutral, and this time just interlock your fingertips behind your back. And take notice of which pinky is on top or which thumb is on top. So your fingers are interlaced behind your back. And again, keeping those palms nice and pressed together. So don't allow your wrists to move out, keeping them nice and pressed together. So on your inhale, you're gonna use your arms to stretch, lift that chest up, lift the gaze up, and maybe if it's comfortable, you can lift your feet up off the ground as well. Keeping your legs nice and straight here in locust pose. On your inhale, maybe lifting a little bit higher, if it's comfortable. On your exhale, release completely. Allow your arms to release. Your left ear comes down to the mat. And your spine is so important in strengthening all the muscles along it. Is what helps us give us that nice tall posture. And a tall posture has so many health benefits for your digestion and just overall mental and physical health. We're gonna do locust one more time. So if you did take the bind behind your back, this time just switch the crossing of your hands. So it should be the way that's less comfortable for you, but it's really important even to just switch small things like that. The way we cross our legs, the way we hold our palms together. So bringing your head back to center. On your next inhale, again, keeping your palms pressed together. Inhale, lifting that chest, lifting that gaze, not lifting the gaze too much so that you're creating compression in your neck, but a nice long neck. Maybe your legs lift up off the ground. On your inhales, maybe growing a little taller, chest broadening slightly. Exhale fully. One more inhale here. On your next exhale, let your shoulders roll forward, hands release, right ear comes to the mat, glutes relax, heels roll out. We're gonna do that one more time. So if bow is part of your practice, I'll guide you through that. If it's not, or you have any knee issues or lower back issues, please don't do this aspect of it and just either find a few cobra movements with your inhale and exhale or move through locust again. So if you'd like to take bow, coming back to center, your hands are back by your hips still. And so on your inhale, you're gonna put a bend into those knees so you can bring them back. And then if it's comfortable, you can grab the outside of your ankle or maybe the outside of those feet. Neck is nice and neutral. And on your inhale, you're gonna press actively into those hands. So you're using that force of pressing into your hands to lift your chest up and your gaze up. Again, if this is not part of your practice, you can just move through cobra or locust. Again, equal parts pressing into those hands and lifting the chest forward. Not compressing too much through the back of that neck. One more inhale here. On your exhale, releasing, letting it go. Hands come underneath the shoulders. Legs drop back. You're gonna lift yourself up and back into child's pose. This time keeping your knees together and stretching your arms forward. Keeping your knees together really functions more as a forward fold. And anytime we do any sort of back bending, chest opening, any of those things, it's really great to do a gentle forward fold. You don't necessarily want to sit in a really deep forward fold because then you're just stretching yourself so many ways extremely, but finding a gentle way to counterbalance, counteract that chest opening, that back bending is really good for you. All right, on your next inhale, shifting forward to tabletop position. And then if you know you have really open shoulders, I'll offer a modification, but for most of us, this will be great. So on your inhale, you're gonna stretch your right arm up towards the sky. On your exhale, you're gonna thread your right hand through that left hand. You can put a bend into that left elbow. Your hips stay nice and lifted, and bring the right temple or maybe the right ear and cheek down to the mat. From here, you can either keep that left hand bent or maybe stretch it forward. If you know you have super open shoulders, you can shift your hips back to child's pose and do the same posture. And then if you'd like to go even deeper, you're always welcome to lift that left hand up and back, bringing the back of the left hand to the lower back. All right, if your left hand's behind your back, stretching it back forward. And if you're in child's pose, shifting up into a tabletop position. And for everyone else, inhale, stretching that right arm back up towards the sky. Exhale, placing the right hand back down. We're gonna do the whole thing on the left side. So inhale, stretching that left arm up. Exhale, reaching that left hand through the right, putting a bend into the elbow. The back of your right hand is on the ground. Hips are directly above your knees. Again, your left temple or cheek or ear comes to the mat. Right arm stretches forward. If that's really comfortable for you, maybe experimenting with shifting your hips back into child's pose. Or lifting that right arm up and back, placing the back of the right palm on your lower back. Rolling that right shoulder nice and open. All right, if your right hand is on your back, stretching it back forward, coming to tabletop. On your inhale, lifting that left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, placing it back down towards the mat. From here, we're just gonna shift our hips back and swing our legs around a comfortable way. So you're coming to a seated position. So if you have any knee contraindications or knee replacements, anything like that, just sit in a cross-legged position, this time with your right leg in front of your left. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper into Gomukhasana, you're gonna bring that left heel outside the right hip so that your left knee is tracking about center, directly out from that left hip. And then lifting that right leg up, you're gonna bring the right heel outside the left hip so that your right knee and your left knee maybe come to stack. So again, you can always stay in a cross-legged position, or if this is comfortable, stay here. The most important part is what we're doing with our upper body. So on your inhale, stretching that right arm up towards the sky. On your exhale, putting a bend into it and keeping it nice and level above that right shoulder. And then bring the back of your left hand to your lower back. So you're kind of in this chicken wing position. You'll just slowly inch your left fingertips up towards your right. If they don't meet, that's okay. If you like to practice it at another time, you can always use a strap or a t-shirt or something to help scoot your fingers together. And then you want to make sure you're not compressing your shoulders or compressing your neck in order to get the bind. So a nice tall spine, gaze is lifted. If this is super comfortable, maybe shifting your weight forward with a nice flat back, and maybe someday bringing your chin to hook that right knee. Right. Inhale, releasing your bind. On your exhale, bringing those hands down. If your legs are crossed, you're gonna release them. So stretching that left foot out. And if your legs are crossed here in this position, just taking a moment to switch the crossing of your legs. There's, again, always a comfortable side, and it's good to alternate. So we're gonna move to the other side. So right knee coming out of that right hip, right heel is outside the left hip, and then lifting that left leg up and over so that your knees come to stack here. And then on your inhale, lifting that left arm up towards the sky. Exhale, putting a bend into that elbow. Again, finding the back of the right hand to the lower back in that chicken wing. And then slowly maybe walking your fingertips up to touch. Every side is different. I can get the bind really easily on one side, on the right side. And this side, my fingertips barely touch. It's okay, be gentle with yourself. They don't even need to touch. Again, chest is lifted, gaze is lifted, not compressing through that back or rolling forward just to get a bind. On your next inhale, release the hands. And exhale, releasing your feet. Just bring them out in front of you, nice and bent. Grab behind your thighs, and then take a cat arch. Cat tilt your weight all the way down so that you're lying on the mat. On your next exhale, hugging your knees in towards your chest. You can kind of rock side to side, forward and back, massaging your spine. On your next inhale, pulling that right knee into your chest. Exhale, extend the left leg all the way down out in front of you. And then on your inhale, bring the left hand outside the right knee, stretching that right arm out from that right shoulder. And then on your exhale, guiding that right knee across your body, gazing over the right hand if it's comfortable, into a twist. Again, it's not important for your knee to meet the ground. It's more important to keep your shoulders nice and grounded. Your next inhale, using your core, bring that leg back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. On your exhale, stretching the right leg down, hugging that left knee in towards the left armpit, outside your chest. Bring that right palm outside the left knee, left arm extends out from your left shoulder, and on your exhale, guiding that left leg across your body into a twist. And keeping that left shoulder nice and grounded. If your gaze is comfortable, maybe gazing over that left hand. All right, on your next inhale, using your core, coming back to center, hug your knees into your chest one more time. If you'd like to take a happy baby, maybe grabbing the outside of your feet, pulling those knees towards the chest. I invite you to take any posture that we didn't cover or do in class today, give you a few moments to do anything that might feel good before we move into Shavasana. And then when you're ready, extending your legs out in front of you, bringing your palms to your side. If you have a blanket, maybe putting it behind your head, rolling it to put underneath your knees, or putting it over you. And palms maybe lifted towards the ceiling in a gesture of receiving. Allowing your toes to roll out, any tension that you're still holding in your legs to release. Moving up, pulling those shoulders away from the ears. Unclenching your jaw, relaxing the space between your eyebrows. Closing your eyes. Knowing that all the movement is done and that we do this movement in order to connect with ourselves, to connect with our breath, and to help quiet our mind. Noticing any thoughts that may arise, acknowledging them, and letting them pass. Knowing that for the next few minutes, you have the opportunity to just be. Maybe bringing a little gentle movement to your fingers and your toes. And keeping your eyes closed, rolling your toes up towards the ceiling, maybe putting a bend in your knees. And in your own time, rolling to a comfortable side. And we'll just pause there. So you can use your arm as a pillow. And when I was thinking about the theme for this class and just posture in general, it's so much of the way that you walk into the world, the way that you carry yourself into the world. And it's a really interesting time, I think, to be a human. And I was reminded of this passage that I read recently, and also I'll share it with you all. And it said, 100 years from now, people will look back at this period and think, wow, what an incredible moment it must have been to be alive. The whole world is out there waiting to be changed. And you'll have a grand adventure doing it, even if only in what you consider a small, locally based way. You know you already have a teacher, and it's the community around you. How it must feel to be a part of that group that helped tilt the world just a tiny bit in the right direction. Yes, you, one tiny person, can be a part of it. Hardly noticeable, maybe, but hardly is more than nothing. Hardly can make all the difference in the world in how we see ourselves. So breathing that in, the choice today to show up on your mat, to move yourself and this world a tiny bit in the right direction. Exhale, letting it all go. And keeping your eyes closed, using the strength of your arms, lifting yourself up to a seated position. On your inhale, reaching your arms up towards the sky, bringing your palms to meet. Exhale, maybe bringing our thumb towards your third eye center, resting it comfortably on your forehead or in between your brows. Gratitude pose. I'm grateful each and every one of you are able to be here today. I'm grateful for the technology to be able to allow us to connect. And I'm grateful for each of us doing our tiny but important part to change the world in the right way. So pulling that gratitude down to my heart center, I close our practice with the light and love in me, honors the light and love in each and every one of you. Namaste. I'm gonna pause the recording.